You don't need permission to want more money, more space, more success, more for your life. But a lot of you are still waiting for it, waiting for someone to validate it, agree with it, or tell you it's okay before you let yourself fully go there. So let me ask you something honestly. Who are you waiting for? Now, if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Cherry. I'm a spiritual life coach, numerologist, and energy alchemist. And the work I do is about helping you stop second guessing yourself so you can actually start making decisions that align with what you want. Because this isn't about desire. It's about whether you trust yourself enough to choose it. In this video, I'm breaking down why you're still seeking permission, what's actually underneath that pattern, and how to step into self-authority so you can move forward. Because wanting more isn't the problem. Waiting for approval is. So before we go any deeper, if this is already landing, I would really love for you to hit subscribe and tap that notification bell so you don't miss a video. It's really going to help the channel grow, and it's free. Because this space is where you stop waiting and you start deciding. And if you're ready for that, drop a fire emoji in the comments and let me know what hit the hardest for you in this video. So let's actually look at what this pattern is looking for, what this pattern looks like in real life. Because most people don't walk around thinking, I'm waiting for permission. It's much more subtle than that. It shows up as checking with other people before making a decision. What do you think? Do you think this is a good idea? Needing reassurance before you move, wanting someone to confirm you're on the right path, softening what you really want so it sounds more acceptable or realistic, talking yourself out of things because they feel too big or too much, waiting for the perfect moment instead of just deciding and moving, looking at what everyone else is doing and adjusting yourself to match. And on the surface, none of this looks like a problem. It looks like being thoughtful, being realistic, being responsible. But underneath, it's a lack of self-permission, because every time you check outside yourself, wait for validation, or adjust your desire, you're telling your system, I don't fully trust my own decisions yet. And that creates hesitation. So even when you know what you want, you don't move on it. You wait, you delay, you second guess yourself. And that keeps you in the same place. Not because you don't want more, but because you're not letting yourself fully choose it. And this is the part that matters. The more you rely on external validation, the weaker your internal authority becomes, because you're constantly reinforcing someone else knows better than me. And that disconnects you from your own power. So the real question is, why are you doing that? Because there is something underneath this. So let's go deeper, because you're not just waiting for permission for no reason. There's something underneath that pattern. And most of the time, it comes down to this: fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, or fear of being too much. Because wanting more doesn't just mean more money, more success, more visibility. It also means being seen differently, standing out more, or taking up more space. And that's where your system gets activated. Because at some point, you learn that being fully expressed came with a cost. Maybe it was being criticized, being misunderstood, being told you were too much. So now, even as the adult, part of you is still trying to avoid that. So instead of fully choosing what you want, you soften it, you delay it, or look for validation before you move. Not because you don't want it, but because you don't want the reaction that might come with it. And this is the truth you need to hear. You're not waiting for permission. You're waiting to feel safe from judgment. And those are not the same thing. Because even if someone gave you permission, it wouldn't remove the possibility of being judged, being misunderstood, or standing out. So you stay in a loop. I want more, but I don't want the discomfort that comes with it. And that keeps you in the middle, not fully choosing, not fully holding back, just hovering. And that's where nothing really changes. So the real shift isn't, how do I get permission? It's, can I move forward even if not everyone agrees? Because that's what self-authority actually requires. And this is where Energy Body 7 comes in. Because this doesn't just affect your decisions, it affects your presence. So let's bring this into your Energy Body 7, your aura self. Because your aura reflects one thing above everything else: how solid you are in yourself. Not how much you know, not how confident you sound, but how much you stand in your own decisions. And this is where the permission pattern shows up clearly. Because every time you look outside yourself for validation, check with someone else before deciding, or adjusting what you want based on how it might land, your energy shifts shifts. It softens. It becomes less certain, less defined, less grounded. And people feel that. They feel the hesitation, the uncertainty, a lack of stability, even if your words sound confident. Because your aura is saying, I'm not fully decided yet. And that affects everything. It affects how people respond to you, how seriously you're taken, and what opportunities come your way. Because your presence isn't fully anchored. It's conditional. I'll stand in this if it's approved. And that creates a weak signal, not because you're weak, but because your authority is being given away. Now compare that to someone who is fully self-led. They don't check, adjust, or wait. They decide. And because they decide, their energy becomes clear, stable, grounded. And people feel that immediately, not because they're louder, but because they're certain. That's energy body 7 at its strongest. Not trying to convince, not trying to be approved of, just standing in. This is what I want. This is what I've chosen. And letting that be enough. So now the question becomes, are you ready to actually live like that? Because this is where it becomes a decision. So this is where everything comes together. Because a universal year 1 is not about waiting. It's about defining yourself. And defining yourself means one thing. You decide, not based on what other people think, what feels safest, or what will be most accepted, but based on what you actually want. And then you move from that consistently, because this is the shift you need to make. Self-permission is self-authority. It's the moment you stop asking, is this okay? And start saying, this is what I'm choosing, without needing agreement, validation, or reassurance. And I'm going to be really clear with you here. No one is coming to give you that permission. No one is going to validate every decision, remove every risk, or make it feel completely comfortable. That's not how this works. Because if you need external approval to move, you will always stay one step behind your own life, waiting, delaying, second guessing. So this is the moment where you choose. I trust myself enough to decide, even if not everyone agrees, even if it feels uncomfortable, or if it's different to what you've done before, because that's what this year is asking of you. Not more thinking, more choosing. And the more you choose, the stronger your identity becomes, the more stable your presence becomes, the more your life starts to reflect it. Not slowly, but immediately, because you're no longer waiting, you're leading. So now let's make this real, because this is where it actually changes. Because this doesn't change when you understand it. It changes when you catch yourself in the moment and choose differently. So first, stop asking for options when you already know. Be honest. How many times do you ask, what do you think? When you already have a decision in mind. That's not curiosity. That's you looking for permission. So start here. If you already know, don't ask. Decide. Second, make the decision before you explain it. This is where people get stuck. They talk about it, think about it, explain it before they've actually decided. Flip that. Decide first, then communicate it. Because when you speak from a decision, your energy is completely different. Third, stop softening your desires. This one is subtle. You want something, but you say it in a way that makes it sound smaller. I'd love to, but stop. Say what you actually want clearly without reducing it to make it easier for others to hear. Fourth, move without needing reassurance. This is where self-trust is built. You've been trained to check, confirm, validate before you act. Now you act and you let that be enough, even if it feels unfamiliar, because that's how you build a new baseline. Fifth, let people have their reactions. This is the one that will stretch you the most. When you stop seeking permission, people might question you, disagree, or respond differently. Let them. Because your job is not to manage their reactions. Your job is to hold your decision. And the more you do that, the stronger your presence becomes. The clearer your energy becomes, the more stable your identity becomes. And that's what changes everything. And this is where we close this out. Because now it comes down to one thing. So sit with this for a moment. What are you still waiting for permission to want? More money, more space, more freedom, more for your life. Because this is the truth. You don't need anyone to approve your desires. You just need to decide that they're valid and start acting accordingly. Because the moment you stop checking, softening and waiting and start deciding, choosing and moving, everything shifts. Your energy, your presence, your direction, all of it. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, I can see where I keep seeking permission, but I don't know how to fully step into this consistently, that's exactly what we work through inside my Stop People Pleasing Breakthrough session. We go into your patterns, your hesitation loops, and how to rebuild your self-trust so you actually follow through. So if you're ready to stop waiting and start living life on your terms, go ahead and book your session now. The link's in the description box below. It's a free 30-minute session. And if this has landed for you, hit subscribe, like this video, and let me know in the comments where you are from. I would love to know where people are coming in from. Because this version of you, she doesn't ask for permission anymore. She decides. There are also 3 freebies down in the description box below. Go and grab them and do the work. So I will see you in August. See you in the next video. Bye for now.